In this presentation, we will cover the assignment sheet for your final presentation. I just want to go over a couple of things with you. Again, you can read everything in fine detail, but I just want to hit the highlights. So what this is where everything culminates together. You will have everything that you've developed this semester in one cohesive package. And the goal is not only just to show all of your final components, but how they relate to each other and how this visual identity system that you built was applied across all of these components and how that's locked in and applied together and everything all fits together. Okay. So it's the visual culmination of your creative endeavors and research, and this should clearly showcase and explain each phase from beginning to end. Okay. The presentation should be professionally designed and it should complement your organization's branding and new look. So you should approach this presentation as if we're seeing all the content for the first time. So assume that we know nothing about this project and tell us all about it. That's the best way to approach a presentation and to make sure that you cover all of the highlights. So your first draft due date is here, and then we will give live final presentations as a class to each other via Zoom. Okay, so this is Monday, April 26th. 10:30 to 12:30 is our final time slot on that Monday. Okay, so I break down here your presentation outline for you, and then on the next couple pages, I have examples of how to break that down, visual examples, and I will also put a ton more on Blackboard and Basecamp. Okay, so first of all, you will start with an intro project background. So again, these may be a couple different slides. This will not be all one slide. So for example, your cover slide, your title slide will only feature your organization's logo, your name, and your course number. Okay, but go ahead and put the semester on there too as well. So that's a slide by itself. And then the next one or two slides can have the organization's mission statement and about your organization, or just a brief summary about the organization and this project, and also show visual and written examples of your research methods and inspiration. So initial sketches, anything from your research binder, any of the written or visual items, mind maps, whatever, from your initial research binders. Go back and pull some of that content out and put it in your presentation. You did that research already, just showcase the research that you did. And then in the next section, and again, this does not have to be all on one slide. So if it takes you 2 or 3 slides in each of these sections of this outline, that's totally okay. We want to make sure we give breathing room for the content. So I want you to discuss and show your brand persona, concept, strategy, and all of your brand components. So I want your mood board. Please be sure to reformat your mood board. So if your mood board was vertical, go back in and redesign, or not redesign it, but go back in and change the format so that it views well horizontally and put it on your slides. Okay. Same thing with your brand board. Feature your brand board with your final logo and all of its elements. But again, don't take your vertical brand board and fit it to the page, because that's just not going to look really good, and we're not going to be able to see the full detail and components of that. So please make sure that you reformat both your mood board and your brand board to be the horizontal format. So just go back into your document, change the format of it, resize it, reallot components and spacing on the page. So it'll take you maybe 5 to 10 minutes to redesign it for a different format, but it will look so much better. Okay. And then your next section, you will discuss your animated logo concept and strategy. So that I have the link to the video file later when I have a copy of your presentation, I want you to put the link on a slide and also have a screenshot of your animated logo. So just feature the screenshot of your animated logo, and then under that, put the link to where we can click to view that. When you do your presentation on finals day, please make sure that you don't have to click that to open it. I will click it and open it later when I'm looking at them on my own. That's why I want it in there. But please make sure that you already have your video preloaded. That way you can switch quickly from your video back to your presentation, because we don't want to eat up presentation time, because we've got to fit everybody in that 2 hour time slot. So we don't want to eat up presentation time with people opening videos and having to do this and that. So make sure that not only when you turn in your file that you have the link to your video in that presentation file, but that when you do your presentation, you already have the video open and ready to go. Okay. So the next section area is discuss and show web concept and social media strategy and all of your digital on-screen components. I will want a mock-up of the landing page on a desktop computer. I'll be providing some mock-ups for you guys to use, but if you have your own mock-ups, or if you want to just create your own, that's totally fine. But I will be providing you with some mock-up resources. So we'll also want you to have the flat screen of your site, as well as the mock-up of your landing page on a desktop computer. Clearly discuss your web design strategy, include your web frames, your style tile, your research from that, whatever you have. And then also in this section, again, this does not all have to be on the same page. It should and can be on different pages. Okay, be sure to include your flat social graphics, and I want you to mock up at least one, and be sure that the one that you mock up is the one with that written caption that you're going to be drafting. Okay, and again, I've got some social media mock-ups as well that I can provide to you guys, and I will make sure that those are on Basecamp. Okay, and then lastly, I want you to have a section that summarizes your project. So talk about project outcomes, what you learned, and also, since we actually had a physical client for this project, talk about what you learned by working with a client, not just like from the project itself, but how is working for a client different than just a random project brief that you're given in class. So be sure that you address that briefly and address your own experience with that. Keep in mind, Aurelia will probably be joining us on the call as well. So I know she would love to hear your reflection of the experience of working with a client. Critique pros and cons of your projects, being able to look back and critique the strong areas and maybe areas that you might in the future could go back and do, or something else that you might want to eventually add to this project. Is always great to be able to critique yourself. And then lastly, just a thank you and ending slide. Okay. So that is the outline. Outfile and file prep, again, this is screen. So if you're using InDesign, make sure you use 11 by 8.5. Very clear here, you're going to get more control over all of this if you do it in InDesign. However, you're welcome to work in PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides, or InDesign, as long as the final thing that I get is a PDF. Okay, I don't want your native presentation file. I want the PDF when you turn it in to me. Okay, custom design for your presentation. So this is why I say I might, unless you super know how to customize PowerPoint and those sort of things, I honestly would shy away from that, because I want you to brand the crap out of this and really make sure that everything is visually consistent. Okay, and I've got some visual examples again that I'll show you. So consistency in header and font usage in your hierarchy of your slides, and be sure to label images and figures with subtitles and captions as needed to clarify things to your audience. Technical concerns. So when you're building this and after you've built this, think of, does this presentation complement my overall branding? Is there a good clean layout? Is it easy to read and view? Again, you're going to be looking at this on screen. Everybody's screen is a different size, so you don't have a ton of real estate, okay? You might be using a monitor that's like 30 inches large to design this, but most of us are probably going to be looking on our laptop screens that are like, 15 inches, 13 to 15 inches maybe. So a diagonal visual screen area. So keep that in mind, okay? Does each page showcase the proper content and information? And again, did I remain on brand? Did I use the same colors, fonts, and visual style in my presentation? Okay, a couple of quick do's and don'ts. Don't put a ton of text on your slide. Be sure there's enough context that we can understand what it is, but you don't need paragraphs and paragraphs of text on your slides. Nobody wants to read that. Nobody wants to look at that. It's not inviting to see tons of text on a slide. This is a visual presentation. Really make sure your visuals are the star of the show. Again, I'd rather you have more pages with a small amount of information than like 3 slides that have a ton of crap on them and it's hard to read. Okay. The visuals are the star of the show, so be sure you present those in the best light. If the class is your client, you're selling us this idea, be sure you're confident in what you're presenting. And again, your actual client, there's a good chance she might be on the call, so keep that in mind as well. So you're presenting to her and to us, but essentially just keep your presentation as broad as possible, because your audience is always going to be pretty broad regardless of what type of client you're looking for and working with. This should clearly explain and communicate why this is the best design solution for the organization and how it best serves the client and organization. So regardless of whose logo that she actually proceeded with, you need to present your project in the best light and why this was the best solution that you came up with and why and how. Okay. And then just a visual breakdown. So again, talking here, the intro, project, background, this is 3 slides in just this section. And again, you can have more, but we've got the title slide with the student's name, class, and we've got their organization logo. And then all of the slides use their brand colors and fonts. Okay. Research, their mission statement. So the mission statement, we can workshop that about information that Aurelia first sent us about the organization that we have from the creative brief. We can workshop that a little bit for your mission statement and summary about the organization. Okay. So again, not a minimum slide count. However, cover all the required information you have. When you present on finals day during finals week, I'll limit you guys just because we need to get through everybody. You'll have 5 minutes. So just make sure, and once you get your presentation, all your slides done, run through it and time yourself just to practice. And, I'll give you a 1-minute warning, but we need to make sure that we're, keeping everything brief. Okay. Discussions show brand persona, concept strategy, and all of your brand components. So we've got the mood board, the brand board, got notes about the mood board and brand board. And then, would love to see in this section too some initial logo sketches and information from your research binder. Like that would be great to see in this section as well. Okay. And again here, everything about this presentation is super slick except for the way the student formatted their mood board and brand board. So if I had them do it over again, I'd have them format this to where it's horizontal. Okay. So again, you see how scrunched that looks like, if you format things to be horizontal, it's going to look much better on the slide. And then discuss and show web concept strategy and all components. So here we've got the landing page or the wireframe, notes about the wireframe, and our research, the landing page, and then a mock-up of the landing page, and then goals for the landing page that you wanted to keep in mind when you were designing. And you will include your social media components in this area as well. This class didn't do the social media components that this presentation example came from, and I believe I have one somewhere that has some social media components to it. So I'll try to add that one as well, but your social media will go in this number 3 section here. And then, so again, this class did an app prototype and they had a video to it. In your case, yours is your animated logo. So make sure that you have, again, the screenshot of your animated logo and then here the link. So say something like view the animated logo and copy and paste your link here where we could visit that. Okay. And then lastly, a couple of slides, and again, this can be 2 or 3 or however slides you want, that summarizes your process. And those elements, we talked about in the previous thing. Talk about project outcomes, pros and cons, what you learned, and also, what you learned working for a client versus just doing, a random imaginative project brief, right? Like what's the difference and how did you learn differently and learn more, and how did that push you when working with a client versus just doing a random class project. Okay, so that is a quick overview of the presentation, and again, feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and I will also post mock-ups and tons of examples. It may take me a little bit to get the mock-ups tracked down. I've got them somewhere, but so just be patient. Mock-ups I'll just post on Basecamp because that's easier to throw everything up on there. But I will have examples of presentations in both locations. Okay. All right, there you go. Final presentation. We made it, guys. Congratulations. You're almost done. Hang in there.